Far away in the endless black sky, a small silver pod floated alone. Inside the pod, a tiny alien girl pressed her hands against the glass window. Her eyes were wide, full of fear, full of sadness. Her planet was gone, destroyed in fire, and now she had no home. The pod carried her across the stars, searching for a safe place, but fate had other plans. One night, the pod crashed through the blue sky of Earth. It broke through clouds and fire trailed behind it. The alien screamed as the pod spun out of control. It hit the ground in a quiet forest, shaking the trees and scaring the birds. Smoke rose, the pod was broken, and the tiny alien crawled out, coughing. Her skin glowed faintly, her body small like a child's toy. Her heart pounded as she looked. At the giant world around her, she had heard stories of humans before, stories that painted them as cruel and dangerous. They consumed living things, they destroyed forests, they hunted. To her, humans were monsters. And now she had landed right in their world. The alien ran and hid behind a fallen log. Her little hands shook, her breathing fast and shallow. Every sound scared her. The rustling of leaves, the hooting of an owl, even the wind brushing the trees, she whispered to herself, "Please don't consume me. Please don't find me." The night was dark, but lights appeared in the distance. Strange yellow glows moved closer. She peeked through the grass and saw giant shadows, humans carrying lanterns and flashlights, their voices deep and loud. They spoke in a language she didn't understand, but their tone felt heavy. They were searching, maybe for her. Her body froze with fear. One human bent down and picked up a piece of the broken pod. He shouted to the others, pointing. The alien's heart almost stopped. They know, she thought, they know I am here. She crawled deeper into the shadows, her small feet sinking in the mud. Her glowing skin betrayed her, shining softly. In the dark, she pressed her arms tightly around her body, hoping to hide the light, but then a twig snapped behind her. Slowly, she turned. A giant shadow loomed, and a hand reached down. She screamed, but no sound came out. The human hand brushed. Past her hiding place, it picked up a broken branch, not her. The alien stayed silent, holding her breath until her chest hurt. She waited, heart beating so loudly she thought the humans could hear it. Minutes felt like hours. Finally, the humans walked away, carrying pieces of the pod with them. Their voices grew fainter. Their lights vanished, but the fear inside her only grew stronger. The alien stepped out slowly, trembling. She looked up at the giant moon above the forest. Tears rolled down her small cheeks. She missed her family, her people, her world. And now she was alone among monsters. The ground beneath her feet felt heavy, the air thick with danger. Suddenly, a distant sound reached her ears. It was strange, soft, and rhythmic. She moved closer, crawling between the tall grass. Through the trees, she saw a wooden house glowing with warm light. Inside, humans sat together at a table, eating, laughing. She pressed her face against the window, heart racing. Her eyes widened in horror. On the table lay roasted meat. The humans were cutting it with sharp knives, pulling it apart with their teeth. They were consuming life, just like the stories had said. The alien's legs shook, her stomach twisted. She whispered, "They are monsters, they eat everything, they will eat me too." She stepped back, but her foot hit a bucket near the wall. It fell with a loud clang. The sound echoed through the night. Inside, the humans turned their heads toward the window. Their eyes met hers. She froze like a trapped animal. Unable to move, one human stood, walking slowly toward the door. The wooden floor creaked under his weight. The handle turned. The door opened. Light spilled out into the dark yard, falling over the tiny alien. She gasped, her whole body trembling. The giant shadow of the human grew larger and larger. His voice called out, gentle yet terrifying to her ears. She turned and ran as fast as she could, her small feet splashing through puddles, her glowing skin like a moving star in the night. But she could hear the human footsteps behind her. Loud, powerful, unstoppable. She ran until her lungs burned, until her legs felt weak. But no matter how fast she moved, the sound of pursuit followed. Her heart cried out in terror. "Please, don't consume me," she begged the empty air. She slipped on the wet grass, falling hard. The world spun, her body aching. As she looked up, she saw the giant shadow standing over her. A human hand reached down again, closer this time. The night was silent. Only the sound of her small, breaking breath remained. The night was heavy with silence. The tiny alien lay on the wet ground, her small chest rising and falling quickly. Above her, the shadow of the human stretched long and dark. The hand hovered in the air, waiting, steady. She shut her glowing eyes, certain this was the end, certain she would be consumed. But instead of grabbing her, the human's hand moved to the side. It picked up an empty glass jar that had fallen. Near the porch, the alien blinked in shock, her breath sharp. Then in one swift motion, the jar came down over her. The world turned blurry through the glass walls. Her tiny fists pounded against it, but the jar was too strong. Her voice trembled as she whispered, "No, no, no." The human crouched and lifted the jar carefully. Inside, she pressed herself against the farthest corner, eyes wide. She could see his face now, a giant face with tired eyes but a gentle mouth. His lips moved, speaking words she could not understand. The tone was soft, not angry, not cruel. Yet her mind refused to believe it. To her, he was still a monster, and monsters always pretended before they struck. The human carried her into the wooden house. The alien shook from head to toe, her glowing skin flickering like a dying light. The jar shook in his hands, and she felt trapped in a prison of glass. Inside the house, warmth surrounded her. But fear burned stronger than any fire. She saw other humans at the table, turning their heads to look. Their giant eyes widened. Their mouths whispered to each other. One child pointed, whispering something excitedly. The alien's heart screamed. Louder than her voice could, she thought. "They are deciding how to eat me." The jar was placed on the table. The alien pressed her hands against the wall, her tiny face pale. The family leaned closer, peering into the jar. For them, it was wonder, a discovery beyond imagination. For her, it was terror, a final moment. Before being consumed, the child smiled, pressing his hand against the glass. The alien stepped back quickly, shaking her head. Her lips formed the words again. "Please don't consume me," though no human could understand. The child tilted his head, confusion softening his expression. He whispered something to his mother, and she nodded slowly. The humans lit a lamp, the warm glow spreading across the room. The alien could see their faces clearly now, not twisted with cruelty, but filled with curiosity. Still, her fear blinded her heart. She saw every smile as sharp teeth, every hand as a claw. Time passed. Minutes felt like hours. The family returned to their meal, leaving the jar at the corner of the table. The alien watched them eat, knives cutting, forks lifting, jaws moving. She covered her ears, shaking. Her small voice broke into sobs. "They are monsters. They eat, they consume, next will be me." Suddenly, the jar shifted. The child had lifted it gently and placed a piece of bread inside. It fell next to the alien, soft and warm. She looked at it, eyes narrowing in confusion. Was this a trap? A way to lure her closer? To test her taste before consuming her? She pushed it away, refusing to touch it. Her stomach growled with hunger, but fear was stronger than need. The child sighed, his face falling. He set the jar back down and tapped the glass softly. The alien hugged her knees, whispering to herself. The night grew deeper. The house grew quiet. The humans put away the food and spoke softly to one another. Then, one by one, they left the room. Only the child stayed behind, sitting near the jar, his eyes half closed from sleep. The alien stared at him, wondering why he remained. Why would a monster watch her so gently? Her mind spun in questions. Her heart beat in fear. The warmth of the bread still lingered in the air, filling her nose. She pushed it farther, yet hunger gnawed at her small body. Tears slid down her face. She missed her planet's glowing fruits, her people's soft songs, and now, all she had was a prison of glass and the eyes of a strange giant child. The hours passed until dawn broke. Soft light crept through the window, painting the room golden. The child stirred, yawning, then stood and walked away. The alien saw her chance. She pressed her tiny hands against the rim of the jar. To her surprise, the lid was loose. The humans had not locked it tightly. She pushed harder, her body trembling. The lid shifted, then lifted. Freedom. She climbed out, her glowing skin reflecting the morning sun. She stood on the wooden table, looking around. Every corner of the room seemed dangerous. Every sound like a warning. She stepped softly, moving toward the edge. But as she climbed down, her foot slipped, and she landed with a soft thud on the floor. The noise echoed, and footsteps thundered from above. The humans were awake. The alien ran as fast as she could, her small feet tapping the wooden floor. She dashed into the kitchen, her heart racing, her lungs burning. But the smells inside stopped her cold. The room was filled with food, fruits, bread, and meat hanging from hooks. The knives gleamed in the morning light, sharp and waiting. She stumbled back, her voice breaking. No, 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 they will consume me. The sound of footsteps grew louder, closer. The alien darted between the table legs, searching for escape. But the kitchen was a maze of giant objects. Every path felt like a trap, every shadow like a predator. Her small body shook, her heart beating like thunder. And then she turned a corner and froze. Right before her lay a giant piece of meat on the counter, raw and red. Its smell hit her nose, sharp and terrifying. Her glowing eyes widened, her stomach twisted. Behind her, the door creaked open. The humans were coming. The alien stood frozen in the kitchen. The raw piece of meat on the counter glistened under the light, red and wet. Her small, glowing body trembled as if the meat itself was alive and watching her. She whispered to herself, "They consume everything. They will consume me too." Behind her, the sound of footsteps grew louder. The wooden floor creaked, and human voices echoed down the hall. The alien's heart pounded like drums inside her chest. She darted toward the shadows, slipping between the legs of the table. Her glowing skin betrayed her, a soft light moving in the darkness like a firefly. Every step she took felt too loud, every breath too sharp. Still she ran because fear pushed her faster than thought. The kitchen stretched out like a giant maze. Cabinets rose like cliffs. Counters stood like tall mountains. She raced past. A bowl of fruit, the smell sweet yet strange. But hunger did not matter. Fear was stronger than hunger. She only wanted freedom. A door stood half open near the corner. Light spilled through the crack, showing the way out. She ran toward it, her legs aching, her lungs burning. But before she reached it, a shadow blocked the path. A human, tall and strong, stepped inside. The alien stopped so suddenly she nearly fell. The human gasped softly, his eyes wide at the sight of her glowing form. He lowered his hand slowly, whispering something she could not understand. To her ears, it was the sound of a predator, calm before the strike. She turned and dashed the other way. Her tiny feet carried her across the kitchen. She leapt onto a shelf, climbing quickly with small hands. Pots rattled as she grabbed them for balance. One pan fell to the floor with a loud crash. The sound echoed through the house like thunder. The alien's heart sank. Now all the humans would come, and they did. More footsteps rushed in, voices overlapping. The family filled the kitchen, their eyes following her glowing shape. They did not shout. They did not attack. Instead, they whispered in awe, pointing and calling gently. But to the alien it was the voice of hunters surrounding their prey. Her tears burned her eyes, but she did not stop. She climbed higher, until she reached the top of the shelf. From there, she jumped, landing on the counter with a painful thud. Her legs shook, but she forced herself to stand. The counter stretched like a wide plain, filled with dangers. Knives lay scattered, sharp and gleaming. Bowls of fruit sat heavy, bread half. Cut crumbs spread across the wood, and in the center, that giant slab of raw meat. Its smell filled her nose, heavy and cruel. She gagged, covering her mouth. She whispered again, "Please, don't consume me, please." But then she noticed something. Beside the meat, a small window stood slightly open. A thin stream of morning air entered, carrying with it the scent of trees and freedom. Her heart leapt with hope. That was her escape. Her only chance. She ran toward it, her glowing skin reflecting in the knives. The humans gasped, reaching out, but she was too fast. Her small body darted across the counter, jumping over crumbs, sliding past bowls. Behind her, she could hear the humans shouting softly. Their voices rose and fell, not in anger but in panic. Still, she believed it was hunger, that they were crying to catch her. She reached the window, her fingers gripping the frame. She pulled herself up, slipping. Halfway through the crack, cold morning air brushed her face, carrying the sweet smell of grass. She smiled weakly, whispering, "I am free. I will escape." But just as she was about to squeeze through, her foot slipped on the smooth wood. She lost her balance and fell backward. Her small body landed in a bowl of flour with a soft puff. White powder covered, her glowing skin making her cough and choke. She struggled to climb out, but the bowl was deep and heavy. Her hands slipped, her tiny legs kicked. Flour stuck to her face, blinding her. She cried out, her voice tiny but full of despair. The child rushed forward, his eyes wide, his hands outstretched. He lifted the bowl gently and tilted it. The alien slid out, rolling across the counter. She stood again, trembling, flour clinging to her glowing skin like snow. The child whispered softly, holding out his hand. His face was full of wonder, not cruelty, but she could not see it. Her fear painted every action as danger. She stumbled back, bumping against the knife block. The tall knives wobbled, one sliding. Free! It fell with a sharp clang, missing her by inches. She screamed, believing the humans had tried to strike her. Her legs gave her strength once more, and she ran. This time she did not look for windows or doors. She simply ran, blindly, heartbroken, lungs burning. She darted into another room, the humans following. The house twisted around her like a giant cage. Every hallway felt endless. Every door led to another trap she could not escape. Her body grew weak, her glowing skin dimmer. She pressed herself into a dark corner, sobbing. Her small voice whispered again and again, "Please don't consume me, please don't consume me." The humans stood at a distance, watching. They did not move closer, their eyes soft. The child knelt, placing something on the floor. It was not meat, not bread, but a small piece of fruit, red and sweet. He slid it toward her gently. The alien stared, her tears falling. She was torn between hunger and fear. Her stomach ached. Her body shook. The fruit glowed softly in the morning light like a star, but she did not move. Instead, she pressed her back harder against the wall. Her voice broke in a sob. "If I eat, they will eat me." And then, the door creaked open again. Another human stepped in, carrying something long and sharp. The alien gasped, her eyes wide with terror. She thought, "This is it, they will cut me. They will consume me." Her heart nearly stopped. The room filled with silence. The blade gleamed in the morning light. The alien's body froze. Her small glowing eyes locked on the sharp blade shining in the human's hand. Her breath came in broken gasps, each one louder than the last. The room felt smaller, the walls closer, the air too heavy, she thought. "This is the end. They will cut me. They will consume me." The human stepped forward slowly, but instead of rushing at her, he turned toward the table. He used the knife to slice a red apple, the blade pressed gently into the fruit, the juice spilling, the pieces falling onto a plate. The alien blinked. In confusion, her mind screamed danger, but her eyes saw something strange. The knife was not for her, it was for the fruit. The child picked up one of the apple slices. He placed it carefully on the floor, sliding it toward the tiny alien. The alien pressed her back harder against the wall. Her glowing skin flickered like a trembling flame. Her voice cracked as she whispered, "You cannot trick me. You cannot fool me." To her, the fruit was bait, a trap to make her trust them. She shook her head, refusing to touch it. The humans sat quietly, watching. Their eyes were wide with wonder, but their mouths curved in gentle smiles. To them, she was not prey. She was a miracle, a visitor from the stars. But she could not see their wonder. All she saw were monsters trying to hide their hunger. Time passed, the silence thick and heavy. The fruit lay untouched, its sweet smell filling the air. The alien's stomach twisted with pain, growling louder and louder, her hunger betrayed, her fear. She turned her face away, pressing her small fists against her belly. Tears slid down her cheeks. She whispered, "Even if I eat, they will eat me later." The child frowned, sadness filling his eyes. He stood and whispered to the others. The family nodded, then slowly left the room. Only the child remained sitting on the floor, his hands empty, his eyes soft. The alien peeked at him through her tears. He did not move closer. He did not speak loudly. He only sat there, waiting. Night came. The house quiet again. The alien finally crept forward, her body weak with hunger. She sniffed the apple slice, her hands shaking. She touched it with her fingers, soft and wet. Her lips trembled. She lifted the piece and took a tiny bite. Sweetness spread across her tongue. Her glowing eyes widened, her heart pounding. It was not poison. It was not bitter. It was safe. She ate quickly, the sweetness filling her empty body. For the first time since her arrival, she felt warmth inside, but her fear still whispered, "They are only feeding you to make you strong so you taste better." Her tears returned, mixing with the juice of the fruit. She sobbed quietly. Trapped between relief and terror, the child smiled softly, whispering a word she did not know. He pointed at his chest, then pointed at her. He seemed to be saying a name, but she shook her head, stepping back again. Her voice was sharp, though weak. "No, I will not belong to you. I will not be consumed." The night grew darker. The alien found a small gap under a chair and curled up there. Her glowing body dimmed, like a fading candle. She dreamt of her planet, of fields filled with shining fruits, of her people singing, songs that wrapped her in safety. She woke with tears still on her cheeks, and when she opened her eyes, she saw the humans again. Morning light filled the room. The humans were busy at the table holding tools. One sharpened a knife against a stone, the sound sharp and heavy. Another carried pots, the metal clanging like war drums. The alien shivered, her heart racing once. More, she thought. They are preparing, they are ready to cut me apart. Her glowing body flickered in panic. She crawled out from under the chair, trying to find another path of escape. The humans noticed, their faces lighting up with surprise and joy. But the alien saw their smiles as hunger. She darted into the kitchen again, searching for the window she had seen before. Her small hands clawed at the frame, trying to push it open wider, but it would not move. Her body shook, her breath sharp. The child rushed to her side, holding up another piece of fruit, but she screamed, backing away. To her, the fruit was a chain, a trick to trap her. She stumbled, her tiny foot slipping on the wooden floor. She fell backward into a basket of vegetables, the green leaves wrapping around her. Her glowing skin shone between them like a trapped light. The humans gasped, their voices full of worry. But to her, their voices were the sound of hunters. She struggled, kicking the vegetables aside, crawling out with tears falling. The humans did not touch her. They only watched, whispering, calling gently. But her mind was too full of fear. Every kindness looked like cruelty, every gift like a trap. She could not see the truth. She could only see monsters. The alien pressed her hands against her chest, her small voice breaking. "Why did you bring me here? Why will you not let me go?" Her glowing eyes flickered weakly, her body shaking. The child stepped forward again, holding out both hands, empty this time. But then the front door opened. A cold wind rushed in and new voices filled the house. Deep, serious voices. The alien turned quickly, her heart almost stopping. Strange men entered, dressed in white coats, carrying bags and papers. Their eyes fell on the glowing alien. They whispered to each other, pointing. The family nodded, welcoming them inside. The alien's body shook harder than ever. Her heart screamed in terror. She thought, "Now the truth is clear, they will hand me to the hunters, they will cut me in their lab." Her tiny voice cried out, trembling with despair. "Please, Please don't consume me." The tiny alien stood frozen as the men in white coats entered. Her glowing body trembled. Her breaths came fast and sharp. The papers in their hands looked like weapons. The bags like traps, she thought. This is it. This is the moment. They will take me away and cut me open. The family spoke quickly with the men, their voices low, serious, but not cruel. They pointed toward her, their eyes full of awe, not hunger. But the alien could not see awe. She only saw danger. She backed away until her back hit the wall. Her small body slid down, curling into itself. Her voice cracked in a whisper. "Please don't consume me, please." One of the men bent down. Slowly, he pulled something from his bag, a silver tool with light at the tip. The alien gasped, covering her face. To her, it was a blade, a cruel device. But the man only shined the light, pointing it gently at her glowing skin. He spoke words she could not understand, calm and steady. The child rushed forward, shaking his head, pulling on the man's coat. The man stopped, his face softening. The child turned to the alien. He picked up another slice of apple from the table. He placed it carefully on the floor and stepped back. The alien stared at it, her tears still falling. Her stomach twisted again, the ache sharp and painful. Her hunger battled her fear. She whispered, "If I eat, maybe they will spare me for now." She crawled forward slowly, every movement heavy. With fear, her tiny hands shook as she reached for the fruit. She sniffed it, her glowing eyes wide, then, with trembling lips, she took a small bite. Sweetness burst across her tongue again. Her heart jumped. It was safe, it was good. She ate another bite, then another. Her tears fell harder, because she realized something. The humans had given her food, not poison, not bait, food to fill her empty stomach. The family watched in silence, their faces soft, their eyes shining. The child smiled, whispering a word she did not know, but she felt it. It was not hunger. It was not cruelty. It was kindness. For the first time since she had arrived, the alien felt warmth not from the fruit, but from the humans. Her glowing body flickered brighter, softer. Her heart whispered, "Maybe they do not wish to consume me." But then the men in coats spoke again. They pointed at her, writing notes quickly, their voices sharp and fast. She flinched at every sound. The fear returned, crawling back like a shadow. She thought, No, they are only fattening me. They will take me to their lab." The child noticed her fear. He stood in front of her, spreading his small arms. His voice rose, firm, protective. The men frowned but stepped back. The alien tilted her head, her glowing eyes softening. Why would a monster protect her from other monsters? Her mind could not understand. But her heart began to feel. The family prepared another plate. This time, not with meat, not with knives, but with fruits and bread. They placed it on the floor gently, pushing it toward her. The alien crawled closer. Her small hands reaching, she tasted the bread soft and warm. She tasted the fruit sweet and safe. Her tears came again, but this time they were softer. She whispered, "They feed me to keep me alive, not to harm me." Her heart struggled, half filled with fear, half with hope. The men in coats whispered again, their eyes serious. One pointed at the broken pod outside the window. The alien gasped. Her pod, her only way home. The men walked outside to look at it, their hands touching the metal gently. The family followed, their voices calm. The alien pressed her face against the window. Her glowing eyes widened. They were not destroying it, they were studying it. One man even fixed a broken panel with careful hands. Her heart thudded with confusion. If they were monsters, why repair the pod? If they wanted to consume her, why feed her, why protect her? She hugged her small knees, her glowing body trembling, her voice cracked. I don't understand. Understand? The child returned, kneeling beside her again. He pointed to himself, tapping his chest, saying his name slowly. Then he pointed at her, waiting. The alien's lips trembled. She whispered a small sound, her own name, broken and soft. The child's face lit up with joy. He repeated it, clumsy but sweet. Her tears fell again, but her lips curved slightly. It was the first time she felt seen, not as prey but as a being. The family clapped softly, smiling. The men in coats rode faster, their eyes wide. The alien looked at them, her fear returning slightly, but she turned. Back to the child, his eyes were soft, his hands still open and gentle. Her heart whispered louder than her fear. Maybe they are not monsters. Maybe they are caretakers. Outside, the pod sat broken but not forgotten. The men spoke about fixing it, their hands moving over the pieces. The alien watched, her glowing body flickering brighter with hope. Could it be true? Were these humans not destroyers but healers? Her heart wanted to believe. Her fear tried to stop her. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she whispered, maybe the truth is not what I feared. But before she could breathe in peace, the men in coats spoke one last time, their faces serious. The family grew quiet, nodding slowly. The child looked at her with worry, his eyes full of sadness. The alien's small body trembled again, she thought. What did they say? Why do they look so serious? Her heart raced. She whispered again, voice breaking. Please, don't consume me. The alien's small glowing body shook as she watched the men in white coats. They spoke in low voices, their faces serious, their hands pointing at her broken pod. The family listened quietly, nodding now and then. The child frowned, his eyes full of worry, glancing back at her again and again. The alien pressed her hands tightly against her chest. Her heart pounded so hard she thought it might break her ribs. Her mind twisted every word she could not understand. To her, their voices were sharp, cold, filled with hunger. She whispered to herself, "They will take me away. They will lock me in their lab. They will cut me open." The child returned to her side, kneeling on the wooden floor. He smiled softly, holding out another piece of fruit, but this time she turned away. Her glowing eyes dimmed, her small body curling smaller. Her tears fell silently onto the floor. The child's smile faded, his shoulders slumping. He whispered something gentle, but she only shook her head. She could not eat. Not now. Not when fear swallowed her stronger than hunger. The men in coats moved closer to the pod. They touched its surface, tapping, writing notes, speaking quickly. One of them looked back at the family and nodded firmly. The alien gasped, her heart leaping in terror. She thought, "They have made their decision. They will take me. They will consume me in their cold lab." She darted away from the child. Her small feet carried her toward the corner of the room. She slipped under a cabinet, pressing her glowing body deep into the shadows. Her breath came in ragged bursts. She whispered again and again, "Please, please, don't consume me." The family noticed, their faces filled with concern. The mother crouched down, peeking under the cabinet. Her voice was soft, calling gently. But to the alien, her words were the hiss of a hunter. The alien pressed her hands tighter over her ears, refusing to listen. The father stood, speaking firmly to the men in coats. His voice carried strength as though he was refusing something. The men frowned, shaking their heads. Their voices rose, sharp and strong. The alien flinched at the sound, believing it was a fight over her, she thought. "They are arguing about who gets to consume me first," the child shouted suddenly, his voice small but full of fire. Everyone went silent. He turned and ran to her hiding place, crouching low. He whispered again, slowly, carefully pointing at himself, then pointing at her. His voice was steady, his eyes full of light. The alien stared at him through her tears. Her heart shook, torn between fear and something else, something softer. But then, the men clapped, their hands together. They gestured toward the door, pointing outside. Two of them rolled in a small cart with straps and wires. The alien's blood turned cold. Her glowing skin flickered dimmer, almost fading. She thought, "That is the cage. The machine they will use on me," the family protested, their voices rising. But the men only gestured again, more firm. The alien could not wait any longer. She bolted from under the cabinet. Her small, glowing form flashed across the floor. She ran toward the stairs, her legs trembling. The humans gasped, reaching out. but she slipped past them. Up the stairs she climbed, every step heavier than the last. She darted into a room filled with soft cloth and books. She closed the door behind her, pressing her back against it. Her tiny chest heaved with panic. She looked around, searching desperately for escape. A window stood half open, the curtains swaying in the breeze. Hope filled her for a brief moment. She ran to it, her glowing fingers clutching the frame. She tried to push it open, but her strength was too small. Her tears blurred her vision, her breath breaking. Behind her, the door creaked. The child stepped in slowly, his hands empty, his eyes full of sadness. He whispered softly, calling her name. The alien shook her head, backing against the window. Her voice cracked like glass. Why are you keeping me here? Why won't you let me go? Why must you consume me? The child froze, his eyes wide with confusion. He whispered again, his tone filled with hurt. He pointed to her pod outside, then to the sky. The alien blinked, her glowing eyes wet. Was he saying they wanted to fix it? Her heart thudded, confused, but the heavy footsteps of the men came closer. They filled the hallway, their shadows stretching into the room. The alien screamed, her glowing skin flashing brighter in terror. She scrambled onto the window ledge, pressing her small body against the cold glass. Her tears fell harder, she thought. If they catch me now, I will never escape. I will never see the stars again. The men entered, their hands reaching slowly. The family stood behind them, their faces torn between fear and pleading. The child cried out, his voice breaking. He ran forward, placing himself between the alien and the men. He spread his arms wide, shaking his head. The alien gasped, staring at him. Why would he protect her? Why would he stand against his own kind? Her heart ached with confusion. The men lowered their hands, their voices sharp, but not cruel. The family argued back. The room filled with noise. The alien clutched the window frame tighter, her glowing fingers slipping, her voice cracked in a whisper. Please, please, don't consume me. And then, the window latch gave way. The alien slipped, falling outward into the cold air. The humans shouted in shock, their voices rising in panic. The child screamed her name, his hands reaching. The alien's small body tumbled, her glowing skin flashing like a falling star. Her heart cried out one last time. Please, don't consume me. The tiny alien fell through the cold morning air. Her glowing body spun like a spark breaking free from the stars. Her small voice cried out, but the words vanished in the wind. The ground rushed closer. Her heart screamed. She thought, this is the end, I will be broken, I will never go home. But before she struck the earth, strong hands caught her. The world steadied. The fall ended. The child had leapt forward, his arms wrapping gently around her. He held her close, careful not to hurt her. The alien gasped, staring at him with wide, glowing eyes. Her tears fell against his hands. She whispered weakly, Why save me if you wish to consume me? The child shook his head, his own eyes filled with tears. He whispered softly, pointing toward the sky. Then he pointed at her broken pod. The alien blinked, her mind spinning. Could it be? Were they not keeping her to harm her? Were they keeping her safe, waiting to send her home? The men in white coats rushed forward, their voices urgent. The family shouted back, their words strong. The father's voice was firm, his hands raised, stopping the men. The mother held the child protectively, as if shielding both him and the alien. The alien's small heart pounded, her glowing body trembling. She looked at them all, confusion tearing her apart. The men finally set down their bags and tools. They walked to the broken pod in the yard. Their hands worked quickly, repairing the cracks, attaching wires, tightening panels. The alien pressed her small hands against the glass of the window, watching. Her glowing eyes widened. They were fixing it, not breaking it. They were repairing her only way home. She whispered, voice cracking. Why? Why would they help me if they are monsters? The child crouched beside her, whispering her name gently. He pointed again to the pod, then to the stars above, his voice soft but steady. Her tears returned, but this time they were not only fear, they were confusion and hope mixed together. Slowly, the family led her outside. She walked on trembling legs, her glowing light faint but steady. The men stepped aside, showing her the pod. It was not whole, not perfect, but it stood strong again. Her heart thudded. She touched the metal, her fingers tracing the cracks now sealed. Warmth spread through her chest. This was not destruction. This was kindness. She turned to the humans, her glowing eyes full of tears. Her voice cracked. You do not wish to consume me." The family shook their heads, their smiles gentle. The child whispered again, tapping his chest, then pointing to her. His voice carried the sound of a promise. Though she did not know the words, her heart understood. Her fear began to melt, piece by piece. The shadows of her old stories faded. The monsters she had imagined were not here. In their place stood caretakers, protectors, friends. The men stepped forward, opening the pod's door. They gestured gently, waiting for her to climb inside. The alien's heart twisted with sorrow and relief. She was going home, but leaving meant saying goodbye. She turned to the family. Her glowing body flickered with emotion. Her small voice trembled as she whispered, "Thank you." The humans gasped softly, hearing her voice for the first time. The child's eyes filled with tears, his lips shaping her name again. He held out his hands, palms open. She stepped forward, placing her tiny glowing hand against his. Their worlds touched in that single moment. Her tears fell, shining like stars. The child whispered, "Please don't forget us." The alien's voice cracked as she whispered back, "I will remember. I will carry you in my heart." She stepped into the pod, her small body glowing brighter than ever. The men closed the door gently, their faces soft with respect. The pod hummed, lights flickering to life. The family stood together watching, their eyes wet with tears. The child pressed his hand against the glass. The alien pressed her tiny hand against the same spot from inside. Their eyes met one last time, full of sadness and hope. The pod lifted slowly, rising into the air. The ground fell away, the trees swayed. The humans grew smaller. The alien looked down, her glowing eyes shining with gratitude. The child's voice echoed faintly, "Goodbye, little star." The sky opened and the pod soared upward. The alien turned her gaze to the stars. Her heart was heavy, but full of light. She whispered, "Humans are not monsters. They are protectors. They are friends." Her pod disappeared into the endless sky, but in her heart the family's kindness stayed forever. And in the small wooden house the humans stood together, looking at the night sky, remembering the tiny glowing being who had feared them, but who had discovered the truth. The end.